because it's your usual suspects. And welcome back to yet another live broadcast on this Wednesday night / evening, depending on your different time zones. So allow me to have my audios tested before we can get into the thick of tonight's conversation that will revolve around a Liverpool star, among other things, including the FIFA Club World Cup that's ongoing. Chelsea have added a new member to their squad, and he could feature in their game against Pyramids. So we'll be discussing that and more into tonight's broadcast. So allow me to check with my audios and make sure everything is in place for us to. Apologies on that. Apologies on that. Some other device did get on. Well, just checking to confirm that everything is in place so that we do not miss out on anything. Okay, looks like the audios are good. Just waiting now the rest of you to join us. Before we get the conversation started, I wish to say thank you to our usual suspects, among many of those, including Amlen, including Pressing Kosi, including the Yellow Dayak from Malaysia, and all the others that do join us every single morning and evening for our respective broadcasts. MD Ike from India, thank you so much. Ashley Cabrera, and all the other usual suspects. I can't mention all of you, but I do appreciate your support, your love and support for this channel on our continued path to growth. I thank you for your kindness. I thank you for being really, really supportive. Anyways, like I said, our conversation will be revolving around Liverpool tonight, because once again, they are making the headlines all for the right reasons or wrong reasons, depending on where you see it from. But I would want to believe it's all for the right reasons, because, I mean, it doesn't come very often, and yet it is. So, guys, if you're just joining us, please consider liking the broadcast, but also subscribing to the channel. If you're new here, please like the broadcast. Do let me know where you're joining us from, and let's get this conversation going. I do not want it to be a one-sided conversation, so I would really, really appreciate it if you do submit your comments. I'm looking at my secondary device so that I do not miss out on any single comment from you guys, because usually when you guys start a bit of lengthy comments, which I do appreciate because it sort of broadens the context of our conversation, I tend to miss some bit of the text. So that's why I prefer to read your comments from a secondary device that I was just having tested out. But anyways, it's a pleasure to be back once again this evening. And like I said, if you're just joining us, please do me the absolute favor and honor and like the broadcast. But also, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and help us grow. Help your boy grow. Help your boy grow on this podcast. So Lisa O'Brien, hi, hello, how are you doing? Where are you joining us from? It's good to have you on the channel. It's good to have you on the channel. Where are you joining us from? I will be interested in understanding where you're joining us from this evening. But do let me know. Yes, I can see we are about 2 people from reaching. We are 2 subscribers away from reaching 1,300. So please do me the absolute favor and subscribe to the channel. But thank you so much, Elisa, from wherever it is that you're joining us. Are you a football fan? Do let me know if you're a football fan, and if so, what team do you support? Because this is a sports podcast, particularly football, bringing you the latest from the Premier League and more from beyond. How are you? How are you doing? How am I doing? I'm good. I'm good. How has been your day? How has been your day? I hope you're doing well as well. So let me hear from you guys before we get started with the conversation, before you start hearing everything from my submission tonight, that, like I said, that will rotate around Liverpool and beyond. because the FIFA Club World Cup does, continue. Does continue. We are going to for the semi-finals starting tomorrow, and by the end of Saturday we will have concluded all of them. Because we're headed for the quarterfinals, and by the end of Saturday we'll have completed all the 4 matches, and then we'll have take 2 days break, which is rest, and then steer on. Are those sheds? Hi, Clip Master. Clip Master 10. What do you do? Do you do clipping? Because I see you're calling yourself Clip Master. Do you do clipping? Good to have you on the channel. Please consider subscribing to the channel, but also liking the podcast as well. But much appreciated for having you join us. Do let me know where you're joining us from. Team India, I can't say thank you enough. Thank you for the kindness. I do know majority of you out there are cricket fans, but you still come on here and support us. And then we do have Mariam Nalmansi, sorry, is another usual suspect, a Liverpool fan here from Uganda. Do you like any sports? Yes, I do like sports. I do love sports, but with a particular bias on football, but I do love sports in general. So, and one of the sports that I love most, although I do not watch often, surprisingly, is because it's the NBA, but particularly because of usually the kickoff, time and things of that nature. Because of my dedication to this podcast, you ought to rest and then also follow the updates that do emanate through from the different angles and things of that nature. So, Mariam Nalmasi is a Liverpool fan, and tonight we are going to be speaking Liverpool. What's your favorite sport? My favorite sport is football. So yeah, that's the sport. How about you, Clip Master? Anyways, as I respond to your questions and comments, let's get started with the conversation, because we are starting the conversation from Liverpool, because Liverpool, as of this morning, did turn down. Oh, I'm a Real Madrid fan. Oh, that's good. Good to hear. Yeah, I'm equally a Real Madrid fan, although not the like the primary team. But thank you. Good to have another white on here. Okay, football as well. All right. I guess we will enjoy having the conversation with you. So we start off at Liverpool, because Liverpool, as of this morning, or coming on this morning, they did turn down an approach from Bayern Munich for the pursuit of their 28-year-old Colombian international in Luiz Diaz. They are insisting he is not for sale. Now, that's the second time Liverpool have turned down approaches for Luiz Diaz, because the first did come against Barcelona. Thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you so much, Lisa, for that kind of favor. I hope you've subscribed as well to the channel to help us, reach 1,300 subscribers, because we are at 1,298. So what's up, champ? Hi, Peter Parker. Thanks for joining us. Peter Parker is one of our usual suspects. Every time he has a moment to spare and we are live on here, he doesn't miss an episode. So thank you so much, Peter Parker. Thank you so much for the sub. Just for the laugh, is also another one of our usual suspects, always sparing the moment whenever he has a minute to be with us. He doesn't miss a point to be with us. Thank you so much, guys, for the kindness, for the love and support. I hope you are rewarded in your respective endeavors. Anyways, we're like I said, at Liverpool, they did turn down attempts from Barcelona, because Barcelona were the first to express their interest in Luiz Diaz. Liverpool told Barcelona he is not for sale, and that has not changed since. It looks like they are sticking to their guns, they are sticking to their word, because they told Bayern Munich this morning, who had made inquiries about the availability of Luiz Diaz, who is 28 years of age with 2 years left for his current contract with the Reds. They equally told Bayern Munich the same thing, that Luiz Diaz is not for sale. Looks like the Reds are not willing to entertain any conversations, any bids whatsoever regarding Luiz Diaz, who they believe is an integral part of their side. I'm not sure what Liverpool fans feel about this, but it will be interesting to hear from them if they can let us know down in the comment section. I can see Al Hilal shocked the world. Yes, Peter Parker. We'll maybe get to rediscuss that in a bit. Indeed, they shocked everyone. Liverpool will sell Diaz if the right money comes. I do not. Okay, maybe because money speaks. I do not want to disagree with you just for the laugh so much. But so far they've turned down two attempts for Barcelona and Bayern Munich. But particularly for Barcelona, I thought they turned them down because maybe they sensed a bit of a contempt, a bit of disrespect, because it doesn't happen very often when you're speaking in the context of transfers. Do you hear club officials from another team speak about players that they intend to pursue in the market openly? Because what happened was, I think it was first Joan Laporta who did an interview and spoke about transfers, and then dismissed that Nico Williams had been an interest from the past and they had moved on, something like that. Then Deco followed him after he did the interview, after Joan Laporta did the interview. Then Deco followed up and came with specific names, and he spoke about Marcus Rashford and Luis Diaz. So yes, just for the laugh, mentioning Deco, yes, I was coming to that. So Deco is the one that mentions specific names to say they were exploring options around Marcus Rashford and Luis Diaz. And I do get the feeling that maybe, just maybe, and this is just a gut feeling, that maybe Liverpool thought or felt a bit disrespected that Barcelona had talked about their player in the context of transfers just right out openly like that before they had even approached, Liverpool to try and sign him. So maybe Liverpool thought to themselves, that is some bit of disrespect. At least if they had approached us already and we're already having a conversation, maybe it would have been a different conversation altogether. So, and I remember when the Liverpool manager in Nassr, because that was towards the tail end of the season, I think around May there, when those comments came out, when Nassr was asked about that submission or those comments, he came out to say that we also like Lamine Yamal, and we'll see, sort of to throw back shit to Barcelona to say, if we're interested in Lamine Yamal, should we come and make a bid? I'm certain I'm led to believe 100% that Barcelona wouldn't entertain any bids whatsoever for Lamine Yamal, regardless of what amount of money there would be. So maybe Liverpool, that's why they turned down Barcelona right from the onset. But for the context of Bayern Munich, maybe it's slightly different, and they're simply thinking to themselves, maybe you do not have the right amount of money that we want, but be that as of it may, then Liverpool could have simply named their price to say, okay, we want 100 million pounds just to fend off, interest from Bayern Munich, but they didn't even entertain any lengthy conversation regards to Luis Diaz. They outrightly said he's not for sale and left it at that. So that conversations have not proceeded between Bayern Munich and Liverpool, according to Sky Sports Germany. What did I miss? Okay. Okay. Yes. Then. All right. You mentioned Deco said. Slot said we like. Yes. Anna Slot said Liverpool like Lamine Yamal too. After to say it's not acceptable to do such. Yeah. When you're doing PR, because we must acknowledge that a lot of when it comes to clubs and pursuit for players, a good part of it has to do with PR. How many times have we had managers come to press conferences when we all know, when the entire world literally knows that they are pursuing a player, but because that player has not officially signed, even if that player has completed medicals, but if they've not yet signed officially, usually they come out with that comment of, I cannot speak about players that are not ours or players that are for other clubs. I can only talk about, the players we have or our players. Usually that's how, our managers or clubs tend to play it out. As simple as that. They keep it, quite basic and professional. But in the sake of Barcelona, they were out there singing like a canary, saying, we're interested in Luis Diaz, Marcus Rashford. Now, maybe for the sake of Marcus Rashford, I would have understood, because Man United have openly said they want to sell the 27-year-old. And it looks like Aston Villa are not going to be exercising their option to buy for 40 million pounds. So maybe in that context, I understand. And in fact, those comments in regards to Marcus Rashford have been proceeded by Marcus Rashford himself saying he will be open, very, very open, or very interested in joining Barcelona. In any case, he went on to say he would love to play with Lamine Yamal. So when you look at that, when you look at it in that context, maybe you get the feeling that the situation with Marcus Rashford is different as compared to the way it was with Luiz Diaz. So I completely do understand. After to say it's not acceptable to do, okay, Barcelona do not have money and are also struggling to register new players, but Liverpool will sell if the right money comes in for Diaz. They are at City if they are trying to sell something. In fact, and one of the reasons as to why I'm inclined to, subscribe to your school of thought just for the laugh, in regards to that comment, is because in the last 24 hours, we have received reports that Liverpool are seriously considering signing a left winger. So that tells me there could be a bit of truth to that, even though they could be looking to merely strengthen, but for a player who they know is only left with 2 years of his contract and have yet to initiate contract talks. And I wouldn't want to assume that Liverpool want to end up in a similar situation that they do find themselves in with Ibrahim Konate, who has only a year left for his current contract, and or similar to what they had with Alexander Trent-Arnold, Mohamed Salah, and Virgil van Dijk, when players enter their final years of the contract without knowing what's coming next. I'm inclined to believe that maybe, just maybe, Liverpool may consider selling Luiz Diaz for the right price. So you also come back to say value goes down if you do not say value goes down if you don't say they are for sale, they hold the value. So, I think, what you're trying to say, if you do not say, if you say they are not for sale, then the value stays wherever it is you want it. But the moment you outrightly say this player is for sale, then it signals that maybe you're almost desperate or interested in letting go of the player. And the reason as to why I want to agree with you on that as well is because I made the same argument when we were talking about Alejandro Garnacho at Manchester United, because at the tail end of the season, after the final of the Europa League, we had reports before they played their final game against Aston Villa that Ruben Amorim had held a meeting with the players at Carrington and told them that he is here to stay, that he will be at the club next season. And with that said, he also apparently told Alejandro Garnacho that he needs to find a new club elsewhere, that he needs to seek greener pastures. Now, when you come out and tell a player that, regardless of your sentiments or what you feel about them, is straight out, those that would be interested in signing the player get a bit of an advantage in terms of, when it comes to negotiations or bargaining power, because then they know you want to sell. You really want to sell. You've told the player he's not part of your future plans. So then those who are coming in, instead of, let's say, coming in with bids of £50 million for maybe Garnacho, they'll come in at 40, or even 35, because they know at the end of the day, you are really looking forward to letting go of the player. So in that kind of sense, Konate will be sold if he doesn't sign a new deal. Just for the laugh, I'm going to say yes and no on this one, and hear me out, guys, on this one as why I'm saying yes and no. Why am I saying no? Is if Liverpool do not sign a good centre back, then they won't sell Ibrahim Konate. But also, even if they sign a good centre back but have signed only one, then they may not sell Ibrahim Konate. 2, Ibrahim Konate may insist that he doesn't want to leave this summer, because he may insist that I want to see out the remainder of my contract. Because while you may want to sell, remember, a player has a say in his future to say, yeah, you've agreed a fee with that club, but I'm not interested in joining them. Because remember, one of the teams that are interested in signing Ibrahim Konate is Real Madrid. And apparently Real Madrid would prefer to get him next summer when he's a free agent. So Real Madrid may sit there thinking, what's coming next summer? There's no FIFA Club World Cup, so we're not desperate to sign a centre back. Let's look at our player ranks. Do we need a centre back? Definitely yes. But How many do we still have on our roster? We've signed Dean Howson for £50 million from Bournemouth. We still have Antonio Rudiger. We still have Eder Militao. We still have David Alaba. Never mind that all those are injured. But I think they can get us going. We still have Raul Asensio. So that's fine. So maybe we can go through next season with these players. And then at the end of the season, we look to let go of one or two. And then in comes Ibrahim Konate, So Real Madrid could have that school of thought. And apparently, that's where the player would want to go and play. He only turns what? At 26, 27? He turns, I think, 27, maybe next year or something like that. So, but then again, if Liverpool, let's say, were to demand a lower fee for Ibrahim Konate, let's say maybe £20 million, maybe 30, Real Madrid could be tempted to say, okay, we can get rid of this player in the squad, maybe Rodrigo Goes. I'm just using him as an example. It's not a full-blown conclusion that Real Madrid will let go of Rodrigo Goes, but they could still stand and say, okay, we're going to sell Rodrigo Goes maybe for £70 million, and we'll use a part of that to pay for Ibrahim Konate. Maybe if Real Madrid win the FIFA Club World Cup, or even if they do not win it, but they get significant amounts of money, which for what they've already received is quite significant, because they got what, £9.5 million only for winning that game against Juventus, which means they're paying that 10 million euros that they told Liverpool. They will pay them for them allowing to let Alexander Trent-Arnold out of his contract early, so that he can be part of Real Madrid's squad for the FIFA Club World Cup. So when Real Madrid get those resources from the FIFA Club World Cup, they could say, yeah, maybe we should use part of that money to go and buy, Ibrahim Konate. So that's why I'm saying yes and no. So the yes is if Real Madrid come in to buy, because apparently that's where the player wants to go. But also, it is dependent on Liverpool signing a centre back. We know they are interested in signing Mark Guehi. We know they have considerations for Jarell Hato from Ajax. We know they were interested in Dean Howson before he decided to join Real Madrid. So those are some of the names that have been discussed. But also, let's not forget, Liverpool have already lost Jarell Quasha, who is a backup centre back. He was a backup to either Virgil van Dijk or Ibrahim Konate, depending on who was missing on a given match day. So, with that in mind, already Liverpool want to replace that figure. They've at least gotten £30 million from the sale of Jarell Quasha, with an expected £5 million in add-ons. And apparently, they did insert in a buyback clause of about £60 million, possibly rising to £70 million, depending on how things go, for the 22-year-old England international, who has since been unveiled as a new Bayer Leverkusen player. But also, when you come back internally at Liverpool, they do have another centre-back in Joe Gomez, who has been at Liverpool, I think, for the last 1 decade. Now, they are willing to listen to offers for Joe Gomez. So, when you look at Liverpool's squad, basically what would that mean is that it leaves them really, really short of, centre-backs. So, when it leaves them short of centre-backs, then what that mean is that they need to go back in the market and sign at least 2 centre-backs. Already, they must sign at least 1. Already, they must sign at least 1. That's my feeling, that's my feeling, that they must sign at least 1, after letting go of Jarell Quasha to, Bayer Leverkusen. So with that in mind, I can see we have Nicolas Ramos. Oh, okay. Apologies. Nicolas Ramos Borges says hi. Hi, Borges. Hi, Nicolas. How are you doing? Thank you for joining us. So, with that in mind, with that sort of in mind, you do get the feeling that they must replace, or they need at least 2, to fill up their squad, because they need backups and things of that nature, really. So let's briefly look at, Liverpool's squad for centre backs or the players they do have within their ranks. Like I said, you have Joe Gomez, you have Virgil van Dijk, you have Ibrahim Konate, and you have Constant Tsimikas. I mean, we all know he's a defender, but he's not as dynamic as he is. He's not a solid centre back. Of course, you have Calvin Ramsey within those ranks, and all the other youngsters that you may call upon. But in terms of seniority, they do need to sign someone, and that's why they are pursuing McGahey from Crystal Palace. Now, apparently, the situation with McGahey is not different from the situation between Liverpool and Ibrahim Konate. Crystal Palace have a captain in McGahey, only 24 years of age, who has previously attracted interest from the likes of Arsenal, Newcastle, Tottenham. Tottenham really tried to push for him, as well as Newcastle. Chelsea have held interest. I do not think that interest has gone away yet, because they're still very active in the market. And now Liverpool. Now, he has only a year left to his contract. In fact, he has entered the final year of his contract. But equally, for him, because it is a World Cup year, by a World Cup year, I mean at the end of next season, we will be going for the FIFA World Cup that will be hosted in Mexico, Canada, and the United States of America. That means he wants to be in a place where he is rest assured of consistent playing time. And where is he guaranteed that more than where he is currently? At Crystal Palace, there's no single place. So he is equally saying he won't sign a new contract, and he is willing to see out the remainder of his contract. That's for starters. Why? Because he is rest assured that if I stay at Crystal Palace as captain, I will have consistent game time, and that earns me the right to be summoned for the England national team. Not an outright right, but by matter of performances, which we all know he's capable of delivering. So then the other school of thought is, on the other side, you have Crystal Palace, who are willing to sell because he has entered the final year of his contract and is not willing to sign a new contract. However, the valuation of the player is believed to be in the excess of £45 million, possibly 50 and more. Now, Liverpool are saying they are not willing to pay £45 million or more to sign McGahey. Now, if you're Liverpool, I think Liverpool are saying that outrightly to say to mean that they do not want to overpay the player who they know only has a year left to his current contract. Two, they're also thinking to themselves, we can play this kind of game. We speak to McGahey, reach an agreement in principle that he will be joining us next summer as a free agent. And in that conversation, we'll have spoken maybe wages, maybe sign-on bonus or fees that he gets, as a free agent. And then on the side of the aisle, we will get to stick it out with Ibrahim Konate and say, you're into the final year of your contract. We're not going to push you to sign a new contract. We'll let you go as a free agent next summer, because we are rest assured we are getting also a free player in McGahey. So that's why I'm saying it's a yes and no kind of situation. So if you're Liverpool and you're thinking to yourself like that if I wait until the end of the season, I'll get McGahey for free, then I can hold foot with Ibrahim Konate, even though he's entered the last year of his contract and he's bound to live as a free agent. I'm also getting a player as a free agent. So what that means that whatever amount I would have spent on McGahey, because he's not going to sign and ask for £40 million as a sign-on fees. He's not going to ask for that in wages as well per season. So they could sell. So it could be a win-win kind of situation if Liverpool do view it in that manner. If Liverpool can view it in that manner. So that's why I'm saying when it comes to Ibrahim Konate, whether Liverpool will sell or not, it's a yes and no kind of situation, depending on the interpretation of those respective circumstances, the way I've explained them. That they could say, we'll get McGahey on a free next summer, we'll just simply wait it out, and we'll let go Ibrahim Konate or on a free. Or we can, if it is about selling, then we can sell to Real Madrid if they can't give us the amount of money that we need, that we use, and then we go use exactly that to buy, McGahey. because when you look at Crystal Palace, they are looking to replace Mark Gehi with, I think his name is called Diomande. Yes, Usman Diomande, the 21-year-old Ivory Coast centre back who plays for Sporting Lisbon. So that's the kind of situation that they could be looking at when it comes to Liverpool. Okay, and now to sort of roll the tape a bit back. This takes us back to now Luiz Diaz. Again, it's all a Liverpool conversation. Now, Liverpool's stance on Luiz Diaz is not for sale, but just for the laugh's sake, that Liverpool are willing to sell for the right price. There is a team in Al Nassr from the Saudi Pro League, one of the biggest teams in the Saudi Pro League, who are seriously interested in the services of Luiz Diaz. And apparently, they are willing to offer a fee in the region of 85 million euros, or even beyond that, to sign Luiz Diaz. Now, I find that quite tempting, a fee for Liverpool. Now, again, let's go back. Let's look at Liverpool's financial outlay so far this summer: 100 million pounds for Florian Wirtz, plus 16 million pounds in expected add-ons. But let's forget the expected add-ons for a second and consider 100 million pounds. About 40 million pounds, or let's say 35 million pounds for Milos Kakez from Bournemouth. That's already about 130. Fine. Then 35 million euros, which is about 30 million pounds for Jeremy Frimpong. That's already an overlay of nearly 170 million pounds. Then what have they gotten in? They've gotten 18 million pounds for Kelleher, who they let go to Brentford because Brentford had let go of Mark Flacken, who was joined by Leverkusen there. Then you've sold off Joel Quensha, who is about 30 million pounds. So that's 48 million pounds coming in. And then you've also gotten another about 9 million pounds from the deal for Alexander Trent-Arnold. So essentially, that puts you at about what, 57 million pounds in terms of revenues coming in, or expected revenues. Now, let's deduct that from approximately about 170 outlay. That leaves you with possibly a deficit of about 110 or 115 million pounds. Now, and yet, as Liverpool, you are not yet done with your transfer business, because we know that Liverpool are interested in having a striker. And I'm not inclined to believe that Liverpool will sell, that whatever figure they sell Darwin Núñez at, even with Napoli interested, that it will be exactly the same figure or even less for which they may use to sign a new striker. We know they are interested in Victor Osimhen. They are interested apparently in Victor Gyökeres, Benjamin Sesko, but primarily Hugo Ekitike. So assuming you are Liverpool and you're going to go out and get any of those players, if you are able to chance yourself into getting any of them, I'm inclined to believe that it is going to cost you slightly more than you would get for Darwin Núñez, because I do not think Napoli or any other club that may be interested in Darwin Núñez, especially around Europe, will be willing to pay the alleged 70 million pound valuation for the player for Darwin Núñez. Not for a second. I am not inclined to believe that. So what that means essentially is that Liverpool will have to top up whatever they get out for Darwin Núñez to get their desired striker. Let's assume, okay, these are assumptions. Let's assume that Liverpool were to get Alexander Isak. Okay, you have to top it even more. We are being told they are interested in bringing in a left winger. That's going to cost more money. So at the end of the transfer window, Liverpool could have had a financial outlay of no less than 100 million, over no less than 120 million pounds. That's if you do try to balance the books in terms of their money spent and revenues brought in from player sales. So that is what leads me to believe that maybe they could be tempted by an offer in the region of 80 million euros, or perhaps even 85 or more, for Luiz Diaz, because That's provided. That's because, again, it's condition based that the player is open to going to the Saudi Pro League. Now, we know that some players have turned down moves to go to the Saudi Pro League. In any case, it has taken a lot of convincing for Theo Hernandez to agree to join Al Hilal, albeit Al Hilal and AC Milan had already agreed on a transfer fee in the excess of 30 million euros. Then we know Victor Osimhen did turn down a move to Al Hilal, despite Al Hilal committing to all financial requests in regards to obligations, including the agreeing to pay the 75 million euro already clause for the Nigerian international, while apparently he had asked for nearly 40 million euros in wages. They had offered that, and yet he still turned them down. So it's not as simple as Al Nassr will come in with a bid and then suddenly Liverpool will say yes, and then on goes the player, because they have to get also the green light from the player. So that's the situation around Liverpool and Luiz Diaz. But let's keep our eyes peeled through that, and we'll see how everything does develop. Meanwhile, Al Nassr are also interested on their shortlist in signing Arsenal's Gabriel Martinelli. Now, Gabriel Martinelli is an alternative target for Al Nassr should they fail in their pursuit for Luiz Diaz. So he's only a backup option. I've gotten mixed feelings or mixed reactions around the Arsenal fan base when it comes to the potential sale of Gabriel Martinelli. Some people do subscribe to the school of thought that the player is no longer progressing or advancing in terms of his talent, growth, and development, in terms of output on the pitch, in terms of putting on the numbers, statistically speaking, in terms of goals, in terms of assists, and overall, delivery. Now, I was having a debate or a candid debate in an Arsenal forum somewhere, and I was telling people, guys, you ought to consider the environment within which Gabriel Martinelli is playing. If we wind time to 2 seasons back, and by that I mean the 2022-2023 campaign, you will see that Gabriel Martinelli was an entirely different player to the one that you do have today. Why? That's in terms of his own delivery on the pitch. Why is that the case? It has everything for me to do with a shift in the way Arsenal have been deploying him, or a shift in the way he's been asked to play. In that campaign, he scored 15 goals and provided 5 assists. That was a 20-goal involvement, And the 2 subsequent seasons, the season after that, he scored only 6 goals, not even half of what he had managed the previous season. Now we're talking about the 2023-2024 season. He only scored 6 goals and provided 10 assists. Sorry, and provided 4 assists. That was a 10-goal involvement in 35 appearances, And yet in 36 appearances, he had scored 15 goals and provided 5 assists. So then we came to last season, where he made 33 appearances. Of course, his appearances have gone down. He scored 8 goals and provided 4 assists. Another 12-goal involvement, still significantly less from the 20-goal involvement he had been in during 2022-2023. Now, one would have hoped, or even easily assumed, that from the 2022-2023 season, you should have only advanced to be now hitting, at 20 plus, a goal involvement across the season. But remember, he is not the only Arsenal player that has taken a hit on his numbers. Let's look at the other players in regards to those numbers in the Premier League alone. The other is, Saka, Bukayo Saka. When you look at his Arsenal numbers, when you look at the season, when you look at the same season, starting at the same season of 2022-2023, he made 38 appearances. That means he played all games for Arsenal, scored 14 goals and provided 11 assists. That was a 25-goal involvement. Quite brilliant. Then the following season, 2023-2024, he scored 16 goals, 2 more than the previous season, and provided 9 assists, 2 less than the previous season, which gave him an overall goal involvement of 25. Again, still the same. So that was a bit consistent, although that season he had played 3 games less as compared to the previous season. Maybe if he had played those other 3 games, maybe he would have bettered those numbers. Then it came to last season where he made 25 appearances, 10 less than the season before that, and still scored 6 goals and provided 10 assists. That was a 16-goal involvement. So Bukayo Saka's decline in numbers, particularly for last season, has everything to do with injuries, because he did miss overall throughout the campaign. He missed what? About 13 games and 10 more compared to the previous season. So, but again, his numbers were not as good overall. Then another player we can take an example on is Martin Odegaard, because he is the other player that we do believe he starts to have taken a hit ever since that 2022-2023 campaign. In the 2022-2023 campaign, Martin Odegaard scored 15 goals and provided 7 assists. That was a 22-goal involvement. Then the season after that, which was 2023-2024, in 35 appearances, he only scored 8 goals, just almost half of what he had scored the previous season, and provided more assists, 10, which gave him an overall 18-goal involvement. Now, that's a decline from the 22 he had managed. 4. Now, when you look at last season, 30 appearances, meaning he missed 8 games, he scored only 3 goals and provided 8 assists. Okay, giving him an overall involvement of 11 goals. So you can observe a decline in Arsenal players' numbers, but also Martin Odegaard is one of those that did suffer an ankle injury last season that kept him out for, I think, about 2 months. And even when he returned, he was never the same kind of player, you feel. He did struggle to find his form back, and he tried to regain that at the very tail end of the season, and we could see that his performances were starting to improve. But I hope he's gotten the much needed rest that he desired. Now that he's now a fully wedded man, because he did wed his fiancée this summer. That wedding was attended by Bukayo Saka, Leandro Trossard, and I do not know whether Kai Havertz did attend, but he was among those players, Arsenal players, who attended his wedding. So really, let's hope for the best in regard. But so some Arsenal fans are saying, for the right amount of money, we should let go of Martin Odegaard. Sorry, we should let go of Gabriel Martinelli. And the question is, what's the right amount of money? Now, Arsenal are not inclined to sell, do not want to sell. Not that they are not willing to sell, but they do not want to sell. However, we also, in the work of interest from Bayern Munich, from the same player, we were told, according to some reports, that if a bid came in the excess of 70 million pounds, then Arsenal could possibly consider selling Gabriel Martinelli. But then the question would be, is he willing at the age of what? Only 24? Yes, only 24 years of age. Is he willing to go to the Saudi Pro League? That remains to be seen. But at least that is the kind of situation that we are witnessing around those players that are being pursued, even when apparently their clubs are not interested in selling at the moment. So let's keep our eyes peeled on those as well and see how everything will, transpire in the coming days of the transfer window. Then, Cagliari midfielder Anthony Makoumbu has signed as new Samsunspor player there. I wish we had Safa Ali to tell us more about that, because he is from Turkey, although he's a Fenerbahce fan. Then Thiemo Barry to Everton is a here we go deal in place for the 22-year-old to join from Villarreal. Total package is believed to be worth about 35 million euros, plus add-ons in there for the new striker, for David Moyes. Remember, this week we did receive confirmation from Dominic Calvert-Lewin that he will be leaving officially Everton. Now, I do not know But I'm going to be a bit biased on this one, and I'll speak with the tone of an Arsenal fan. Dear Arsenal, please stay away from Dominic Calvert-Lewin. If you have any thoughts whatsoever at the back of your mind, please stay away from it. Please stay away from those thoughts. Do not be tempted. Anyways, apparently, Galatasaray are also considering making a move for Jan Sommer. I mean, one of those goalkeepers that has been there for the longest of time. But Galatasaray are interested. Remember, they also hold interest in Emiliano Martinez from Aston Villa, Marc-Andre ter Stegen from Barcelona. Then now they've added Jan Sommer. There's another goalkeeper they were considering making a move for there, Galatasaray. Then Jonathan David to Juventus is almost a done deal, only waiting medicals to be done before the 25-year-old Canadian international puts pen to paper as a new Juventus player. From my understanding is that Juventus will be looking to let go of Dusan Vlahovic this during the course of this transfer window. Then Silo Immobile to Bologna. Here we go. Deal in place for Immobile. Will now terminate his contract at Besiktas. Immobile will sign a one-year contract plus an option to extend, plus an option for an extra year. That's according to Federico that's according to Fabrizio Romano. There. Then Arsenal and Brentford are expected to change Arsenal and Brentford have exchanged all paperwork for Christian Noga deal. The Danish midfielder will join Mikel Arteta's squad as expected. Now let's briefly again speak about this, Christian Noga deal. I was again, in this work of, keeping track of different forums here and there. I mean, so many sporting forums, Man United forums, Chelsea forums, Liverpool, Arsenal, and things of that nature. Wherever there is a forum for, those big team fans, I always have my ear to the ground. So, like I was saying, I was following in a certain forum, and they put the question forward that now that Christian Noga is joining Arsenal and Martin Zubimendi is going to be new to the Premier League, who do you start as your holding midfielder in that game against Manchester United? Do you right from the onset toss Martin Zubimendi straight into the deep end in an away game at Old Trafford? Not the most ideal of atmospheres for you to toss into your new player, but and it was an interesting conversation. People were thinking or were submitting that they wouldn't prefer for Martin Zubimendi to start that game. And then one question, would you rather Christian Noga start? And again, they weren't still not convinced about the idea of Christian Noga starting, because while he's well familiar with the Premier League, they are not sure how he would fare or how it would play out against in a new Arsenal team that he's not accustomed to playing with. He's not yet clicked with teammates and things of that nature. He doesn't know who moves when, and you need that bit of chemistry before you start. And my question was, don't you think that for a player the caliber of Martin Zubimendi, 26 years of age, a Spanish international, don't you think he's mature enough to start that game, even though it's a new league? Yes, I do agree. It may be a little too much to ask of him, but I do not think he would be incapable of starting that game. But then again, and then it went to Christian Noga. I'm like, if it is not Christian Noga, who you think you brought in as a backup for Martin Zubimendi, then if you can't give him that game and do not have the conviction that he can start in that game, even though it is in a new team, then possibly you've signed the wrong player. So you must have the conviction. Then, because I wouldn't want Arsenal to sacrifice Declan Rice playing as an 8 for him to play as a number 6 in that game, and possibly have Mikel Merino at 8 and then Martin Odegaard. But let's wait and see. The season is not too far away. It's a month and a half from its start, possibly less. We are every single day that passes by, we draw closer to the start of the new season. Then, okay, so that's that. Then quickly, I want us to go through the some of the latest rumors and gossip that are making the headlines. But before we get into those rumors, let's speak about, again, while we're still at Arsenal, Christian Mosquera. Now, Valencia have offered Christian Mosquera, the 21-year-old Spanish international, a new contract because they would want him to stay. But the player is already committed to joining Arsenal because he's been sold at that Arsenal project. And according to Fabrizio Romano, Christian Mosquera's plan remains clear. He wants to join Arsenal project despite new contract proposal from Valencia. Full focus on negotiations with Arsenal as personal terms are already agreed and new bid would be needed after opening one of 14 million euros rejected. Now, I've been reading again in a certain, I do not remember on what platform, and they were saying that Valencia want 18 million pounds for the 21-year-old. And I'm like, Arsenal, what the hell are you sleeping on the job for? Pay the money and let's move on. Sign the player. You say you want him. He's 21 years of age. Even if you signed him for 18 million pounds and you wanted to sell him 2 seasons down the road, or even if it were 1 season down the road, when he's on a 5-year contract, I'm inclined to believe that you could still recoup even a profit on that. So get the deal done if that's your interest. Anyways, Chelsea have officially unveiled or announced the signing of that's João Pedro from Brighton and Hove Albion in a deal believed to be about 60 million pounds. That's according to Sky Sports. Excuse me. And he is going to be drafted apparently in their squad for the quarterfinals of the FIFA Club World Cup. Is going to be drafted in the squad for the Club World Cup because they have until the end of that, I think, to register new players. That's for all teams that are still participating in the FIFA Club World Cup. And they unveiled him with a clip of him, juggling the ball at the beach. And they said the boy from Brazil, we all know Brazilians love to play, football at the beach. So there you have it. Chelsea fans have a very, very good player. There was also another clip of him with Enzo Maresca as he introduced him to the team captain, Richie James, and all the other, Chelsea players. He will be donning the jersey at 20, shirt number 20 at there. So he is officially a Chelsea player. So, I mean, all I can say is congratulations, Chelsea. But they do remain, they will still want to sign a striker, although reports do say that Chelsea are open to entertaining bids for Nicholas Jackson, and that will further intensify perhaps their pursuit for a striker. So let's keep our eyes peeled on that situation as well. Then, yes, in that fee of 60 million pounds, apparently the guaranteed fees is 55 million pounds plus 5 million pounds in add-ons. That's according to Fabrizio Romano. Yeah. Quickly, let's run to some of the transfer gossip that is there. Maybe the latest transfer gossip. Forgive me. Just need to make sure we bring the latest, not something that is not what we discussed already in the morning. Now, this is according to the Mirror. Arsenal have been encouraged in their 70 million pound pursuit for Brazilian forward Rodrigo, who is not guaranteed a starting spot under new Real Madrid manager Xabi Alonso. I think this is just the Mirror writing an opinion because Rodriguez has not been starting in all those FIFA Club World Cup games. So they are thinking he's further unhappy, or he's really looking at the situation and looks at it and is like, because Adagula has been starting ahead of him at that, among the forwards, or like in that game against Juventus, it was Jude Bellingham that started on that side with Adagula playing as a midfielder. So, but let's wait and see. Atletico Madrid are willing to go all out to sign Tottenham and Argentina defender Christian Romero, 27, and are willing to put a deal in place worth about 61 million pounds. That's according to AS in Spanish. West Ham have rejected a bid of about 50 million pounds from Tottenham for Ghana forward Muhammad Kudus. It is reported that West Ham want at least about 60 million pounds. Then Manchester United want 25 million pounds. Manchester United won 25 million pounds for Jadon Sancho, with Juventus still interested in the England winger. That's according to Corriere della Sport in Italy, while Sancho is prepared to lower his wage demands to join the 36-time Serie A winners, according to Eurosport Italia. Then Manchester United are stepping up their interest in Aston Villa and England striker Ollie Watkins, and have held tentative talks with the Midlands club, who want a fee of about 60 million pounds. I do not think Aston Villa will get 60 million pounds for Ollie Watkins. If they were to get it from a Premier League team, I would think that is delusional, or a bad deal, or a bad negotiation. Is he a good player? Without a doubt, very brilliant. But for 60 million pounds for a player that turns 30 in December, I'm not convinced. Maybe 35 to 45 to 40 million pounds would be sufficient, but 60 is a big no for me. And then Napoli boss Antonio Conte is keen to sign Nigerian forward Ademola Lookman, 27, from Atalanta this summer. That's according to La Gazzetta dello Sport in Italy. And Newcastle are aiming to tie up a deal for Burnley's England goalkeeper James Trafford, 22 years of age, as early as next week, and remain in talks with Nottingham Forest for Swedish winger Anthony Elanga, who is only 23. That's according to iPaper. Japanese winger Kaoru Mitoma has told Brighton he wants to stay at the club and sign a new deal despite being linked with Bayern Munich. That's according to Sky Sports. Nice goalkeeper Masin Balka, 25, is set to join Saudi Arabian side Naomi, despite Sunderland having a 12.58 million bid accepted for the Poland international. That's according to Meski in Polish. Now, I do understand. Now, Lacazette, this is the same team that Lacazette just joined. Neom, it's called Neom SC. I think Neom Sports Club from the Saudi Pro League. Then Sunderland have turned their attention to signing Chelsea's Serbian goalkeeper Jody Petrovic. That's 25, but first competition from Aston Villa and Bournemouth. Then the Black Cats are also nearing the capture of Union Saint Gozli. Diakon player Noah Sadiq at 20, who can play in defense or midfield. That's according to the Sunderland Echo. While Italy striker Ciro Immobile was spoken about on the verge of joining Bologna as a free agent, having had his contract mutually terminated with Besiktas. Valencia's we've spoken about Christian Mosquera. Then a Wolves defender Nassr Jiga, 22, might join Rangers on loan for the season, having made just 5 Premier League appearances after joining in February. So there you have it from the latest transfer gossip from some of your major clubs. So allow me, we're almost 1 hour into this one. Guys, if you're interested in learning some digital skills like coding, web design, as well as cybersecurity, do not forget to check out our friends at Ebo State. I will be leaving a link in the description to their website. You do qualify for a 5% discount should you sign up with them. Now, they do offer both in-person and online training sessions, and do help their trainees find jobs in the dynamic digital world. But those skills are quite very crucial for you in case you're interested in learning some soft skills, but particularly cybersecurity and coding. Very good. Web design, of course, notwithstanding. Lisa O'Brien, thank you so much for being part of tonight's broadcast. Mariam Nalumasi, Clip Master, thank you so much. Peter Parker, Just for the Laugh, thank you so much. And every Nicolas Ramos Borges, thank you so much for being part of tonight's broadcast. And every single one of you that joined in behind the scenes, that left a like on the broadcast, that did not like, neither submitted in a comment, but managed to be with us and watch. Thank you so much. We do not take your love and support for granted. It's really much appreciated. And I do not take it for granted. It's always a pleasure being with you guys here. So it's been 1 hour of us doing this. So I do not think it will be bad if we call it a night. Otherwise, please go to the channel, check out all our other content. We've had 3 good videos for you in the last couple of days. I see a lot of people have watched that video in which we did pose a question of whether Andrea Bata is to blame for Thomas Partey's departure from Arsenal. Then we did discuss Manchester United's fans are fuming at their club for what they consider to be inefficiency in the club's executions in regards to transfer business. But we also did pose the question of if Arsenal had to choose one between Eberechi Eze and Rodrigo Goes, who should it be? Should it be both? Do check out that video and leave your comments down in the comment section. Do let me know what your views are in regards to those topics. But we will be back tomorrow morning and talk Thursday morning sport. Keep it locked on the Football Tribe YouTube channel, and I'll see you next time. Have yourselves a blessed night. Bye-bye.